Hello YouTube! Welcome back over to GamingHouse, and once again you're just in time for lunch hour. I'm going to quickly apologize if I sound sick. It's because I am sick, so deal with that. In today's lunch hour we're going to be talking about The Thing. Not the movie, not the remake of the movie, not really a remake. We're going to be talking about the game that came back over in 2002. Back over on PS2, the original Xbox, because I can't say Xbox One because that name's taken apparently, and also PC. This is kind of an underrated game because it's so damn old. But down below in the links, in the description area, I have links to a channel that has a full playthrough of the game, and also another link to a channel that's got all the concept up and all that for the sequel, which was canceled because the studio, Computer Artworks, went under. Which, by the way, this game was made by Computer Artworks and was in collaboration with Universal and Konami. Right? Konami? Yeah, Konami. Anyway, the game is technically a sequel to the movie. It takes place moments or so afterwards. You're a military team that's sent in to go check out Outpost 31, where all that shit happened. And you get there, you realize everything's destroyed, pretty much everyone's dead. And then you go... game pretty much starts from there. When you get there, serves a tutorial. The next area, they send you to the Norwegian base, and that's where you actually start to fight the things, and shit starts to go crazy and all that. On that, it's a very typical third-person shooter. Now, it had some unique mechanics into it, though, for its time. I'll say this will come back later. But it had NPC fear-trust mechanics. And how those worked was, NPCs, usually when you meet up with an NPC, they don't trust you right off the bat. They will not follow your orders, they're not going to listen to you, and half the time there's someone that has a key or it's an engineer and you need to get their trust anyway. Now, how you earn trust is by giving them ammo, weapons, if they're hurt, maybe heal them, do a blood test on yourself, which they have blood tests in the game to see who is and who is not infected by the thing. And once you find out someone's a thing, they immediately transform in front of you and try to kill both you and any of your homies that are nearby. And the other one was fear, which if they were scared to a certain point from they get scared from seeing a bunch of torn up bodies and shit all around them, hearing a bunch of monsters but not seeing a bunch of monsters. They would start to freak the fuck out. And you can check out, when you go check on the NPC screen, you see their fucking head shaking around and all. If they got to a certain point, they would actually either kill themselves or just go straight up fucking crazy and start shooting everywhere like a madman. And because I forgot to mention also, back with the trust thing, if they didn't trust you at all and you did bad stuff near them and all that, they would actually shoot you too. Because they don't trust you at all. Now, the Thing creatures that were in the game were, basic enemies. You had little tiny dudes that you could kill with regular gunfire. But anything that was not those tiny little crawling heads and arms and such, you had to kill with fire. Which you only had flame grenades, a blowtorch, and a flamethrower. All in all, back in the day, I enjoyed the damn game pretty much. Pretty damn well much. Now again, unfortunately, the sequel was canceled because the studio went under. And again, description below has a link to all the concept art and such for a sequel. And what was kind of disappointing about all that is, of course, I had to do a little bit of research, and by research I meant I typed in on Wikipedia. But for the first game, they actually intended it to be more open world, kind of, where people would randomly mutate into the things and all that. Like, if you go and watch the gameplay or play it, if you somehow have a copy or can find it. I did not check Steam and all that before making this video. But anyone that's infected is usually scripted. Like, you'll get to a certain point and they'll transform or so, as opposed to being actually purely random or by chance, or they got infected at some point. It's kind of disappointing when you go read that. But again, that was for hardware limitations. You couldn't do stuff like that on a PS2 and all that back in the day, back in 2002. So now, why am I talking about this now? Why am I talking about an old-ass game on here? Well, because, again, like I do with most of my lunch hours that are about, old games or so, is I want to see a goddamn studio make this game, right? Dead Space was inspired by The Thing. The movie, not, I don't think so much the game. Now, if some studio with nowadays technologies picks this up, hopefully not EA, because then it will turn into be just like Dead Space, and use the technology today, you can kind of achieve probably something close to what they originally wanted with a, not, I wouldn't say open worldish, but at least like procedurally generated infections and everything else. And it'd be pretty fun to see a game that's now inspired by Dead Space and everything else. And I think this could be another fresh breath of air for the survival horror genre, which is severely dwindled down. And how would we do that? Well, because I'm bored and have nothing else better to do than ramble on about games, I'll go ahead and list off some things. For story mode, I'd stick to what the concepts of what the second one was looking to be, which is going over to, I think, Russia, an aircraft carrier, some old mining places and all that. All that stuff actually looked pretty fun to go to. Things that I would like to see incorporated into it is a co-op system for the single-player campaign or so, where people can have characters that say they created for multiplayer, or they could take over the any NPCs you find. Now, a thing that I think would need to be done, though, is proximity chat. In other words, party chats and all that are disabled. You can only hear people if they're in the vicinity of your character. I think that would add to the survival horror feel of it, that you can't always hear your people, so if you have to split up at any point in time to go do something or go search for stuff, well, if they're killed at some point, then you're not going to know. They're going to be dead, and you're never going to know what happened to them until you yourself go out and find out what happened to your friends. And getting back to procedural infections, I think that would be interesting play for both co-op, if your teammates do splinter off and say they don't get necessarily killed, but consumed by the thing, and now they're a thing that look just like they did before, it could come back and kind of cause havoc. And for multiplayer, I'm just going to skip into multiplayer now before I get too detracted. And for modes, I pretty much want to see a kind of infection escape mode. So you start on one side of the map, you only have a certain amount of supplies and all that, and you have to get to an evac point all the way on the other side of the map, so you have to get through all kinds of other devices and such. They require you to either separate at points in time or work together. And I would like the mode to include where one person is randomly selected to be a thing right off the bat. So you don't have ways of telling who is the thing and all that, but one of you is the thing. So at one point in time, you could be separated, say someone has to go repair a junction box and all that, and they go off with someone who's a thing, and all of a sudden they're too far away to be heard, and now as that guy is fixing a box or something, all of a sudden, boom! You're freaking grabbed from behind by who you thought was your friend, who was actually the thing. And I think that would make some great moments of tension, etc. Friendly fire has to be on, though, because otherwise you could just sit there and shoot your friends and find out who the hell's the thing. And that wouldn't be fun. For multiplayer purposes, the campaign of the first one, which I forgot to mention, already had a class-based system, which were soldiers, which were good at aiming. I think they held more ammo and such as well. They were the least least likely to get scared. Engineers, which were pretty much only needed for advanced junction boxes. I could probably add more role to them in a future game or so if anyone does make this. And medics, who were probably the most useful outside of being needed engineers for junction boxes, because they had unlimited health kits and could heal you to 100% health. And for shits and giggles, someone like a fourth, I don't know, Omni role class, which was the role of Blake, who was the character of the first game, who could fix basic junction boxes, could use med kits, and had decent accuracy depending on how actual well the player was. That's going to do it for this video here. It's a fairly short one. I thought I would take like 20 minutes talking about this game. But I'd like to see this game get made. I think it would be awesome, fan-fucking-tastic. So go ahead, share this video around, talk about it with other people, send it to people that matter. Again, in the description box below, if you haven't checked them out already at some point, there is links to how to walk through the entire first game, as well as the concept art and such for the canceled sequel. So as always, like, comment, subscribe. There's a Twitter down below. Follow me up on updates if you care about that shenanigans. And you're always welcome to come back over to GamingHouse for more gameplay and commentary.